Hi guys, and welcome to Team Leeki's Week 7 team building episode for the MBL Season 2. So this week, Week 7, we are going up against Team Drinking Birds. That is Tommy and Lawsy. So our fellow VGCers this week, not going to be an easy game at all, but looking forward to it a lot. Very excited about it. Now, just before I get into the video itself, I will just mention, so I sat down with my teammate Hibiki to record this and did the whole episode, went away, and I came to render the video, and none of the audio from Hibiki's side was actually picked up on the recording, so something went extremely wrong there, and we can't use that. And rather than not put a team building video up, I thought I would just do it myself now, just so you guys have a basic idea of the concepts that we've kind of got going into this match. Obviously it's not going to be as good as it would be with my teammate Hibiki here. Unfortunately he's not around to re-record this now because it's so last minute, so I'm just going to go through everything. Hopefully it's alright, you're with me, and I'll try and cover as much as I can. Super sorry about that this week, guys. We should have really checked, well, I should have really checked the recording straight after we'd done it, just to make sure that the audio had picked up and everything was alright, like I normally do. But this week for some reason I didn't do it, and then came to render to upload to YouTube and there was no Hibiki. It was like me saying something, "Hi guys, and I'm joined by my teammate Hibiki," and it would just be silent, and then I would come back in talking. So I sound like a crazy person talking to myself the whole thing, so it doesn't really make sense. It's not really cool putting it up like that. But as I say, I'm going to go through everything now. Just apologies for the error there. But hopefully the episode itself is going to be cool anyway. So I'm just going to quickly go through their team to start with. So they've got a really threatening mix of Pokemon. Their draft was really good. Really like all of their picks. But I'm not liking, and I know Hibiki's not liking, how much we're going to have to go up against them, because they've got so many varying strategies that they can kind of put together, and a lot of big threats on their team to especially the majority of the concepts that we've got on ours. So they have got Landorus T, Pheromosa, Mega Venusaur, Metagross, Ninetales, Darmanitan, Lanoon, Blastoise, Heliolisk, and Oricorio Sensuform. So a really nice mix of Pokemon. Straight away there was a lot of things that we kind of identified as threatening leads. That's kind of where we started. So you've got the Lanoon and the Blastoise. So the Blastoise with that follow me, fake out support, can help that Lanoon set up its belly drum. It has a gluttony ability to proc the 50% berry if it needs to, and then can start firing off extreme speed. So that was something that we needed to keep in mind and have a way to shut down if they did decide to go with that lead. Something else that we were considering and a bit scared of was the Sun lead there with the Ninetales and the Darmanitan. Because the Darmanitan has sheer force under Sun, you can have a choice scarf, a choice band, it could run a Z move, and pretty much whatever it's going to be throwing out, especially those big flare blitzes under the Sun, are going to be hurting pretty much everything on our team for big damage. So that was something else that we needed to keep in mind and have a way around if they were going to lead with that. Also with that Sun mod as well, they do have Mega Venusaur, but prior to it Mega evolving, it does get the chlorophyll ability, so we'll get that speed boost under the Sun, and it does have access to sleep powder as well, so that's something else that we needed to keep in mind. The Heliolisk as well is another thing that they could bring with that Sun mode, because of the solar power ability on it, firing off huge special attacks, especially the electric type attacks that do threaten our Mega Gyarados. So that was something else we need to be aware of. Pheromosa is just a general threat altogether. And it does threaten our Necrozma with those stab bug type attacks. So again, something that we need to keep in mind. They could pair the Pheromosa with the Oricorio. They've always got that option to go for the Quiver Dance strategy, where the Oricorio comes in and uses its Dancer ability to get a free Quiver Dance and then start firing off Z moves and so on like that. They've got the Landorus T as well for that Intimidate support. That's going to nerf any kind of big physical attacks that we kind of bank on getting. They could bring the Landorus T in at any point and really skew up our calculations there and start building momentum that way. The Metagross is extremely threatening to things like Rhyperior with those Meteor Mashers, Iron Heads, and to our Hail mode here. So basically what we were saying in the original video was that our Hail mode really wasn't something that we felt comfortable bringing. It didn't make much sense bringing it in this match, just because of the sheer threats they've got pretty much all over the field on their side. So what I'm going to do now, guys, I'll open up our showdown window and we can go through the team. So we'll start off with the leads, because the leads that we've got here primarily to shut down at least 2 of their combinations. So we've got Mega Gyarados as the first component of that. Mega Gyarados here is going to be really strong. It's got the Intimidate support, so it's going to really help against things like Landorus, Pheromosa, and that Darmanitan, and Lanoon to a certain extent, if we can cycle those Intimidates. But again, Mega Gyarados as well, when we Mega Evolve it, does get that Dark typing, which will help against Metagross in particular on this team, and the Oricorio. So we're going with a moveset of Waterfall, Crunch, Dragon Dance, and Roll. So Dragon Dance primarily to help us get some extra attack and boost our speed as well, so we can basically the EV spread here allows us, after 1 Dragon Dance, to outspeed Pheromosa on a neutral nature with max speed. So that's pretty nice, meaning we can hopefully pick up, if we get into the situation, a quick KO on something like that. The Roll here is kind of paired with our other lead combination, which we'll go into in a minute, but well, I'll go into it now. So our primary lead is going to be the Gyarados and the Ambipom. So we're kind of scared of the Blastoise Lanoon lead and the Belly Drum, like I said earlier on. So what we can do in that situation is fake out the Blastoise and just roar out the Lanoon to stop that Belly Drum. And that was kind of that for the raw tech. We felt like we could kind of get away without Protect this week on it. The Waterfall's pretty straightforward. It's going to hit the Ninetales, Darmanitan, Landorus T for really good damage. And the Crunch just gives us a bit more cover against Mega Venusaur, which is going to hit for neutral nature, and the Mega Blastoise this week. So this lead was pretty much all Hibiki's idea. So he came up with this idea to kind of shut down that lead. And before we move on to anything else on that side of the field, I'll move on to our other lead member, which is the Ambipom this week. So we're running Ambipom, pretty straightforward EV spread because we've got the Focus Sash, and we're running a moveset of Double Hit, Taunt, Rain Dance, and Fake Out. So like I say, this is something that Hibiki came up with, and it kind of shuts down the 2 more threatening lead options that we kind of saw them maybe bringing here. So that would be the Lanoon, the Blastoise, and the Ninetales, Darmanitan or the Ninetales, and Mega Venusaur. So we have the Fake Out. Each time we know that Ambipom is going to be the fastest Fake Out user on the field, so we can utilize that to our advantage. And we've also got Rain Dance on Ambipom because normally Ambipom will be outspeeding things like Ninetales and Darmanitan, pending they don't have Scarfs and stuff like that. So even if Darmanitan, say, has a Choice Scarf and the Sun's up, we can still take a hit from it with the Focus Sash and get the Rain up. And hopefully at the same time get a Dragon Dance up with Gyarados, and then that really puts us in a very good position going into the next turn and shuts down their Sun mode, meaning they're going to have to switch out. It's very disruptive, so it was a very good shout from Hibiki, and hopefully it will come in handy throughout the match. The double hit here, we warranted it because it does slightly more damage with the Technician ability than Return, and the other bonus that you've got on it is it can hit Pheromosa, break the Sash, and then pick up the KO there, so that's pretty huge. Taunt, we originally had knockoff over the Taunt here, But we decided that things like Mega Venusaur are still a threat. Even if we get the rain up, they can still fire off sleep powders and stuff like that. So we kind of opted to change this last minute to Taunt to have another option to get around that sleep powder threat if they decide to go with that. And just in general, Taunt could be quite handy. We do lose the utility of Knockoff, which could give us the option to hit Metagross, but I think we both decided that I think the Taunt was more useful in this situation. So that kind of wraps up our leads. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anything. And then we'll move on to this side of the field with the Mega Gyarados, the rest of that side of the field, which will be this side that Hibiki will be playing. So the next Pokemon we've got is the Necrozma. Oh, quickly, before we go through anything. So the EV spread, like I said on Gyarados, it is there to, the speed's there, so we outspeed the Pheromosa after a Dragon Dance, and the defensive calcs here, primarily I was a bit worried about Choice Band, Darmanitan, running Stone Edge in particular, or even Continental Crush, and just to nuke the Gyarados straight up, or Superpower as well. So these defensive EVs that we've got this week allow us to take -1 Continental Crush from a Darmanitan, and a Choice Banded Stone Edge from a Darmanitan. These are all -1 calculations after the Intimidate, so that pretty much just explains that pretty quickly. So moving on, we have the Necrozma as our next Pokemon on that side of the field. We are going to go for a Trick Room mod again this week, but it just makes so much sense. I'll just pull this down a minute. If you look at their team, they've got nothing that would really operate well in Trick Room other than possibly the Metagross. But the Metagross is the slowest thing they've got on their team, so we don't need to worry about things underspeeding us too much here. So that's why we went with the Trick Room, and especially if we can get Rhyperior in a Trick Room situation, it's going to hit things like the big threats like Mega Metagross for really good damage, Ninetales, Darmanitan, Lanoon, and Heliolisk, and the Oricorio aren't going to like facing down on Rhyperior this week. So that was kind of the main mode that we'd go for after the leads kind of went down, or if we switch things up. So the moveset on here, we've got Psyshock this week over the Prismatic Laser that we have been running, and primarily running Psyshock because it's going to be hitting, basically it runs off the special attack stat but hits on the defensive side of the opposing Pokemon rather than the special defensive side. So we're going to be doing a little bit more damage with the Psyshock this week against things like Mega Venusaur and the Oricorio, and we still pick up KOs on things like Pheromosa with it. So I think this week we kind of could have went with the Prismatic Laser here, but I think we get the Z move off and then we've got to use it, and then we kind of have to burn a turn just recharging, which is not really ideal, and against such an offensive threatening team as well. I think we'd prefer to have an option where we could just kind of continually fire those attacks off without having any recharge turns. So that's kind of why we opted for the Psyshock. Basically with the Psychinium Z, we still pick up the KO on bulky Mega Venusaur, so we don't need to worry about that at all. For coverage, we've got Dog Pulse there that helps us a little bit more with the Metagross primarily and the Oricorio, so that just made a lot more sense. We've got the Trick Room and then Protect, so that kind of wraps up the Necrozma there. It's going to be a main Trick Room setter this week, and the EV spread is designed to help us do that. So basically the big threat that we kind of expected was, when looking at the team, they've got two Pokemon there that you can pretty quickly identify that it could potentially be a problem for Necrozma, and that's the Pheromosa with its stab bug type moves, and the Oricorio Sensitive Form with its ghost type Revelation Dance. So basically I want to make sure that whatever we did, we could survive the biggest threatening attacks that come out from both of those Pokemon. So the Oricorio probably would be a +1 Revelation Dance ghost type attack Z move that we'd need to be very, very careful of. But this EV spread allows us to take that. And then the other big attack that I was a bit worried about was the Pheromosa. I think I ran the cards off lunge, Z bug move. So with the EV spread we got here, we can take both of those attacks pretty comfortably. Well, not so comfortably, the Pheromosa one, but we can take it, and it guarantees that we're going to get the Trick Room up. The other option that we've got with the Cyclonium Z is if we're face down against any taunts coming out from the opposing side, then we can go for the Z Trick Room if we need to guarantee that Trick Room up. But that kind of wraps everything up on the Necrozma. So we'll move on to the last Pokemon on this side of the field, which is Sylveon. And this was again the choice specs on Sylveon this week was something that Hibiki came up with, and just because I think it just provides a bit more pressure for things like against like the Lanoon, the Blastoise, the Heliolisk, the Landorus, the Pheromosa, the Oricorio. The only thing is that it's not going to be hitting for super effective damage, with the Hyper Voice at least, are going to be the Mega Venusaur, Metagross, Ninetales and Darmanitan, but we kind of make up for that with the coverage moves we've got with the choice specs this week. With Shadow Ball, it's going to allow us to hit that Oricorio and Metagross for good damage with the choice specs, and this Ice Shock for the Mega Venusaur. The Hyper Beam was kind of tagged on there. In the last slot we did look at hidden power options and things like that, but it's kind of nice having that nuke option with the Hyper Beam, and it does pick up KOs on Landorus, obviously Pheromosa, not Ninetales, Lanoon, Heliolisk and Oricorio. It even picks up KO on a +1 special defense Oricorio, so that's nice to know that if it does get set up and they do bring that strategy this time round, and it has a 50% chance to pick up a KO on a bulky Mega Blast, not Mega Blastoise, just regular Blastoise, so pretty good. The EV spread here, we went for a Quiet Nature just to kind of utilize that Trick Room if we can get it set up and then get Sylveon onto the field, so we definitely know we're going to be outspeeding everything else on the field from their side of things. EV spread, so basically we are going to be running Will-O-Wisp on Magmar this week, and if we can get, I think one of the biggest threats to Sylveon is the Metagross, because of the clear body ability, we can't intimidate it, so we can't reduce that attack stat, and I'm quite scared of them bringing a Choice Band Metagross, because it does so much work against that team if it's protected right. I mean, it has to worry about the Rhyperior if we do get the Trick Room up, but they could even utilize something like Hammer Arm in that situation to reduce their speed, to make Metagross more viable in the Trick Room, but I am a bit scared that they're going to bring the Choice Band variant of Metagross this week, and it was something that I definitely wanted to have some calculations against. So with the Magmar, if we can get a Will-O-Wisp onto it, Sylveon's EV spread here allows us to survive a Choice Band burnt Meteor Mash from a Metagross, and we're picking up a 2-hit kill with the Shadow Ball in return, which is pretty nice. Let me just see if there's anything else to add to this Sylveon. Yeah, so the special defense was kind of put on there to turn a Sludge Bomb from a bulky Mega Venusaur, I think with about up to 76 special attack EVs, so it turns the Sludge Bomb in that situation into a 3-hit KO, which is pretty nice because the Psyshock has a good chance to pick up a 2-hit KO in return. So if we're in a Trick Room situation or not, we've got a good chance to beat it one-on-one with the Sylveon in that situation. But I think that wraps everything up on that end of the field. So we've covered the Ambipom, and we'll move over to the other side of the field. So we've got the Rhyperior. This week we've kind of opted to run not Drill Run, we're going for Earthquake because the Tectonic Rage is a bit more powerful, running off Earthquake. We've got Rock Slide just for the coverage, and then Ice Punch, and like in the original recording, Hibiki mentions that it's just the Ice Punch here just gives us more options to hit their flying type Pokemon that they've got, the Landorus and the Oricorio, for a bit more damage, and then obviously the Earthquake and the Rock Slide are quite self-explanatory. They're going to do really good damage to their Sun kind of core, their Heliolisk, decent damage to the Blastoise, Lanoon, and etc. like that. So it kind of covers everything there. We do need to be very careful with how we run it, because there are a lot of grass kind of threats from their side of the team. And this week we are running Lightning Rod, just to kind of have an answer to that Heliolisk if they do bring it, so it doesn't get too out of control with its solar power under the sun. And we're running the Ground EMZ for that Tectonic Rage over the Rocky MZ this week, just because we've got bigger threats, I think, like Metagross, the Ninetales, Darmanitan, more stuff on the ground that we kind of be wanting to hit than the Continental Crush this week, and the Ice Punch kind of gives us that coverage as well. So EV spread here, we went Brave. It is minimum speed Rhyperior, so we are going minimum speed Brave Nature. The EV spread here, because we're going Lightning Rod, because of that Heliolisk, we've not got the solid rock ability, so doing any kind of calculations, and I explained this in the original recording, on the special defensive spectrum, were kind of pointless, because we were getting to the point where even like Solar Beam and Grass Knot and things like that from the Heliolisk and Scald from the Blastoise were picking up easy clean KOs, and the amount of investment that we would need to kind of even stand a chance to survive some of those attacks we couldn't even survive anyway, because they're 4 times super effective against Rhyperior. It just either meant that we couldn't do it, or we were putting in so much investment we had nothing to put in attack, which just didn't make sense, because we want the Rhyperior out on the field, picking up the kills where we know it can, and under a Trick Room, hopefully if we're attacking first, we get rid of the threat and the threat doesn't hit us. So it was more important to do that than calc for possible survival calcs this week on the special side. So we kind of concentrate more on our attack, and the defensive side is completely different because of that base 130 defense that Rhyperior has. We can guarantee and definitely make sure that we do survive some big physical type threats that come out from us. So one of them that we identified pretty much straight away was the Pheromosa, the high jump kick. So this EV spread allows us to take a high jump kick from an adamant max attack Pheromosa. We can also take, like I was saying earlier on, we're worried about the choice band item on the Metagross, so we can take a choice banded Meteor Mash from a Metagross clean straight up, and then hopefully KO it in return if we're not in a Trick Room with the Tectonic Rage. The other calculation as well that it does pick up, so if we can get an Intimidate onto Landorus T and it is carrying that Tectonic Rage, if they do bring it, we can survive a -1 Tectonic Rage with this spread as well. So that kind of covers the EV spread on the defensive side for the Rhyperior, and it's pretty much utility here. So it's got the Lightning Rod, it's going to support the Mega Gyarados if their Heliolisk does become a problem with that Lightning Rod, but we'll see what they do in that situation, and then we'll move on to the last member of the team, which will be the Magmar this week. So we've not opted for Eviolite on Magmar, we went for the safety goggles, and that was primarily just to give us another something else to switch in to Mega Venusaur if it does start firing off the sleep powders, and if it does start utilizing that, at least we've got the Follow Me this week to pull in those sleep powders, and with the safety goggles we're not going to be affected by that, so that really helps out in that situation. As I said earlier as well, that we've got the Will-O-Wisp on there of what we originally had was Helping Hand there, but I think the Will-O-Wisp is going to come in a lot more handy this week, especially against things that we can't intimidate like that Metagross. And again, it's going to just help out against things like Lanoon, Landorus T and Pheromosa possibly. They do tend to rely a little bit more on their attacking stat than the other Pokemon in the team. And then we've got Flamethrower for just coverage to hit things like Metagross for good damage that we haven't got too many other answers for. So that kind of rounds up the EV spread. Pretty much allows us to sorry about that, that's my alarm going off. EV spread allows us to take Earthquake from Alander's T, which is probably one of the more threatening things on their side. They feel we can take a Scald from a Blastoise pretty easily, and I think we take a Stone Edge from a Darmanitan as well, which is pretty nice. But outside of that, I think that wraps up the EV spread. I didn't feel like we needed to put too much speed in it this week. It's pretty speedy anyway, with its base 93 attack, and it was more important to go for a bit of defense and attack as well. We've just got a little bit of attack there to kind of ensure that we're kind of getting a bit more damage and out of the flamethrower when we're hitting things like Metagross as well. So that kind of makes up the team. And then our placeholders, our bluffs this week are going to be Mega Beedrill to just threaten the double Mega play that we could make, and we did bring it last week. I don't think we feel like it was going to be the more optimal choice here because of the Sun mode. There's obviously as well the threat of that Pheromosa, Oricorio, Quiver combination as well that could kind of really put a kink in Beedrill's plans. So we felt like we wouldn't really necessarily bring it this week, just as a bluff. And then our other bluff we're going to bring is a Bomber Snot as well, which, you know, if we got the Trick Room up, it could do some work, but it's really heavily threatened by the Sun mod. But it does kind of help us put off possibly Landorus T and things like that, if they have brought it. So it's something just to think about on their end, and not really what we've thought about at all, just as bluffs primarily for ourselves. So that kind of wraps everything up, guys. I really hope I've kind of covered everything, but I don't know what else I've got to add. I'm just trying to think if there's anything in the original recording that I've kind of forgot about. There probably is little bits here and there, but I've tried to cover everything the best I can in our basic idea. I think we're pretty much under the impression that they're going to go with they're definitely going to bring the Sun mode. I mean, that Ninetales and Darmanitan are just really good in general against our Trick Room. I think the main thing that we need to think about this week is how they're going to try and stop the Trick Room, because they're bound to know that we're going to go for a Trick Room mode, and they're going to have ways, I would imagine, to try and shut that down. So hopefully we can kind of get our leads going with the Gyarados and Ambipom. It does cover the Sun lead really well, and it covers that Lanoon potential Belly Drum lead really well. It's just if they lead something like Pheromosa and something like that, I mean, even if the Pheromosa comes out, we've still got the Sash on Ambipom, so we can take advantage of that from that end. So we do have a lot of options with that lead, and hopefully that's enough to kind of get us a bit of momentum early on, and then later on in the game get the Necrozma in, get the Trick Room up, and then start a sweep with Rhyperior primarily. And then, you know, we've got the cleanup crew with Sylveon, and then a bit of a supporting cast with Magmar to kind of help out with anything that we need to late game. But I don't think it's going to be easy at all this week. Tommy and Lossie are great players, so I'm sure they're going to have a really good game plan coming into this. But I don't think our game plan's too bad. I think we've got a really good game plan this week, and we do, like I've kind of cover a lot of things that could threaten us and quickly turn the game on its head. So I think we've done a really good job, and Hibiki obviously came up with a lot of really cool ideas like the Rain Dance, the Specs, Sylveon, and things like that this week to help us and support the whole team in kind of getting its job done. So hopefully we can do that. I am going to wrap things up here, guys. I'll just say again, I'm really sorry for the original recording. It is a bit, I feel super lonely without doing it with Hibiki, and hopefully I've done an alright job to kind of make the best out of a bad situation. If you've got any questions about the team or anything that you've seen in the episode, do just drop us a comment below and let us know what you think about the matchup in particular. It'd be great to hear what you guys think. I personally think we've got a terrible matchup this week. I think it's one of our toughest matchups we've had so far in the MBL, by a long way. I just think the combinations that they've got on their team stuff, like just the variation of combinations that they've got and the threats that they've got against our team are not ideal. And, you know, like Hibiki mentioned in the original recording, our team struggles a little bit against steel type Pokemon. Well, not a little bit, but quite a lot. We have to rely on the Rhyperior a lot of the time to deal with those steel types, and we need the Trick Room most of the time to kind of support that mode. So yeah, that's pretty much. It's going to be really difficult, but hopefully we can get a win. We had a good win last week, and hopefully we can continue that this week. It's not going to be easy, but like I say, I think this is probably our hardest matchup out of all of our matches so far in the MBL. So hopefully if we get a result here, that's massive for us. But I will just mention, guys, you can follow all the MBL Season 2 news, analysis, games, and everything like that is going on their MBL YouTube channel. That will be linked in the description below. You can follow the MBL Season 2 on Twitter as well. Yeah, that's the one. That'll be linked in the description below. And this week I got my MBL t-shirt, fan t-shirt, so you can go on and order your own now, a hoodie or a t-shirt. They are taking orders at the minute again, so do get in there while they are doing that. I'll link that in the description below as well. And the t-shirts are cool. Like, I got my t-shirt and I was super happy with it. It's amazing, really good quality, and it looks just generally amazing. So definitely grab one if you can, and remember that all the proceeds that are from the t-shirts do go towards supporting the MBL on a whole, supporting the analysis team, the prizing, and just helping the circuit grow in general. So it's just a little way for you guys to kind of help support the whole system of the MBL. So I think I'll leave that there. All I'll say is good luck to Tommy and Lawsy. Good luck to my teammate that I'm missing terribly, Hibiki, and we'll be back with the match tomorrow. That will be over on my teammate Hibiki's channel at 8 PM UK time. So make sure you check that out. That'll be linked in the description below as well. So do check that out, guys. Hope you have a lot of fun watching the match. Hopefully it's a really fun match this week. I think it will be. And we'll be back next week with the team builder on Hibiki's channel and match on my channel. So until then, guys, thanks so much, and we will see you very, very soon. So take care. Bye bye.